live a smart life.
Okay, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I think we're just about a minute or two late, but that's okay. And we welcome you to Frank and Candid for today, Wednesday, 27th July 2022. Of course, yesterday would have been a big day in that 31 persons were registered as candidates for the elections next week. But before you get there, because I'm going to have one of those candidates coming in half an hour or so, the sole independent candidate for this election is coming in to speak with me, Kalonji, at about 11:30. But yesterday we were talking about Dr. the Honorable Sir Kennedy Simmons. He's been a national hero. I was suggesting at first that he attained the honor, or he gained the honor while Labour was yet in office. But other persons were disagreeing. And of course, I simply checked in, researched it at Government House when I left yesterday. And let me advise that Sir Kennedy became a national hero on 16th September 2015. 16th September 2015. That is just less than a year, of course, after the Team Unity government would have begun to serve its first term, right? So bear that in mind. The only living national hero, Dr. Sir Kennedy Simmons, he became a national hero on 16 September, he was there, 2015. And by the way, the ceremony was at Government House, not at the Heroes Park, as somebody was suggesting. So I'm pleased to provide you with the correct information. Thank you very much. So now we know. All right, it was 2015 when Dr. Timothy Harris was already Prime Minister and Team Unity government was in place. All right. I hope that some persons who listened yesterday at the end of the show were able to self-reflect, to introspect and ask themselves, do I have any heroes in my life? Or am I myself a hero to anybody? Is my life so lived that it can encourage someone, somewhere, to look at me as a hero of some kind? Not necessarily a national hero, of course, but heroes are persons who are so described in individuals' eyesight. Okay? Nobody else has to agree with you. As callers yesterday made it clear that certain persons would have been so involved in their lives that they consider that person to be a national hero. Well, that is what we're having. Okay? I see my boss just came to check on me. So, I hope everything is okay. As Scotisha just came to have a look to see what's happening. Alright. Is everything in place? Good, alright. We can open the lines now because when my guest comes, we're going to have to close the lines to give him a chance to expound and expatiate. And then we'll open them again for callers to dialogue with him. So we can open the lines now and persons can talk to us here on Frank and Candid about related matters. Okay, so we are now fully engaged in the election process, so to speak, because we now know for sure who the candidates are. And I really think that most of us will have already decided whether we're going to vote and for whom we're going to vote. And I don't believe that anything is going to change minds between now and then. If so, I think it's going to be pretty insignificant. But let's take our first caller. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Dr. Blake.
Sir.
How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Okay, man.
How are you?
I am good.
Very well.
You are a gentleman. You see how you humbly come back and accept the correction this morning about when Dr. Simmons was acknowledged as a national hero?
Yes.
You are a gentleman.
Thank you, thank you.
And I wish many more men, in other words, many more persons could be like you.
Yeah, I'm joined by a fine lady here, yeah.
Okay. ZIZ has a lot of fine ladies up there, man.
Definitely. She's one of the finest, the one who's here now.
I hope you wind don't blow. You tell us stay indoors.
Oh, definitely.
Well,
I'm going to keep her anchored.
Yes, man, yes. Yesterday after the program, I called the great Mr. William Doe.
Oh, you did?
Yes, man. We had a good conversation, man.
Thank you.
And I've learned something else. Something that extended to the knowledge that he gave me some years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell him kudos to you. But it was sad to see how he lose his job. But another time for that.
Yes.
That was not good for a man like him who has contributed so much to education in this country.
Yeah, not just education, agriculture too.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
And at that time, that is when he lost his job.
Right, when he was involved in agriculture, yes.
Right, and when he lost his job, it was forthwith.
Definitely.
And I think that was an insult to him.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, he sounds like he's still going to school. Man sounds as young and prime as ever.
Definitely.
Yeah, now, let me go. You say he was in your life, right? Okay, I am a hero in my life on my bike. For me. I don't know for anybody else. And I was a hero, or I am a hero, from when we were building the airport. And the machine that I was given to operate.
Mm-hmm.
I became a hero of that. I sure you saw them when we were building the airport, those big green long machine we call scrapers.
Yes, yeah.
Right, okay. I was an expert on that.
Very good.
So, yeah, man, yeah. So I know for sure. The sugars could call you and tell you. And other people who know that. But I don't like to blow my own whistle. But since you asked for it, I'm going to let you know.
So be it.
Now, yesterday was a day for a lot of people who got a lot of chat and try to convince people that what they are saying was factual. A lot of propaganda come out of their mouth. Yesterday was a day for them to try to hat in the ring.
Yeah.
And go up there and see how many persons they could convince with what they were saying. Because I know for sure, 2000, I came from St. Thomas for a couple of weeks. And I asked a good friend of mine, my best friend at that time, he was working in the sugar factory. And he was a union steward. And he was a big man in the Labour Party. Me and he used to support the Labour. And I said, how the politics going? He said, boy, Labour going to lose in Central. But they ain't going to lose if they do what they going to do. I said, what they going to do? He said they're going to take some of Sam Kondo voters and carry them down in Central. I said, no, I don't want to do with that. I'm a Labour, but I don't want to do with that. He said, you could stop there. We got to do what we got to do to win. And it was done. Because when you check the voters list in Central, Church Street alone had 65 persons on Church Street. And I know the people who that live on Church Street. You had the Astafan down at the bottom. And on Central corner on Church Street, you had some Dickerson there. And on the other side, you had Mr. Woods, the taximan. And then you go up, you had a business place there, a store. And then past the Union, you go up, the market keeper, Mr. Warner. And then you had Clarence Edwards and Father, and those were the persons who on Church Street. So they really get it work. So I just want the people to know, cheating is not good. If you cannot beat somebody fair, do not cheat, because you have to live with it. And I had chances where I could have cheated in Warner Park when I was racing bike, but I refused. I said, no, if I cheat, I have to live with it. And I'm going to hurt all those people in Warner Park who come to see bicycle race, because I was carrying them on my shoulder. And I did what I did naturally, and I win what I won, and I felt good because I did not cheat and I did not hurt anybody feeling. Thank you, Brother Blake.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
And I want to publicly thank Culture for calling Mr. Doe. I'm sure Mr. Doe appreciates it, and I hope others did. I'm going to be checking him when I leave here, and I'm sure he's going to report about those calls to me. I have invited him to listen sometimes. I hope he finds the time to do so. But let's take another caller if we are so engaged. Not yet? Yes, we do. Okay. Right, so as we await our discussion with the candidate, we want to repeat that my belief is that persons have already decided, very much so, and perhaps a long time ago, for whom they will vote once they have decided that they will vote. And I really believe that it is our duty. It is all right, of course, to vote or not to vote, but I think it's our duty to vote. And I believe that most persons have already made that decision, which is why we were questioning whether the large amount of money that parties spend on putting up billboards and publishing posters and things like that, whether they do make any material difference. I don't know if there is any evidence-based data to make a decision or to influence a decision one way or another. But I personally, from my observation, from my discussions, I believe that it makes minimal, if any, difference to what an individual has decided. And if he's going to change, if an individual is going to change his or her mind, I think other factors will determine that change of mind, not these multiple posters and billboards that we see on every lamppost and on every corner and so on. I believe if an individual decides he's going to vote A, what will make him change his mind to vote B will be other factors, other variables, not these very conspicuous and ubiquitous billboards that we have in St. Kitts. I'm not even sure what obtains in Nevis. I'm not sure if Nevis is as swamped as we are with respect to these paraphernalia, political paraphernalia. I should probably take a visit up to Nevis before the elections and take a drive around and see what obtains. Okay, let's take another caller in the meantime and see what he or she has to share with us. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Blake.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Blake.
Yes, sir, I'm hearing you. Welcome.
Good morning, Mr. Blake. I'm calling you from New York. My name is Sonny Boy. That's where everybody will know me at.
Okay. What's your real name?
I'm Dumpling Jam Down Brother.
What's your real name?
Ronaldo Griffin. I'm Dumpling and Jam Down oldest brother.
Yeah, we are aware of that. So your real name is Ronaldo?
Ronaldo, yeah.
Okay,
but everybody know me home as Sonny Boy.
Okay, good.
The greatest person from St. Kitts and Nevis, in your opinion, is who?
The greatest person from St. Kitts and Nevis? That's an interesting question, because I'm going to have to go back in history. For me, the greatest person would have been someone in the distant history, not recent history.
You don't know? You can't come up with a guess?
No, I am saying, no, that would be my own individual choice. But I'm saying for me, that person, more likely than not, would be someone from the distant past, not from recent or current history.
You're in the right ball field. It's the distant past.
Yeah.
Can you name somebody?
Well, I'm thinking of people like Marcus, for whom I named my son, by the way. Thinking of people like Tegreman. I'm thinking of, people from way back. But we don't have enough recorded history to really understand the magnitude of their contribution. But from the little I know, they did a hell of a lot.
Hands down, number one of all, without any discussion, is Alexander Hamilton. Yes. One, the founding father of the United States of America. He was the guy who founded the greatest country ever known to man.
Yeah, but I'm looking at an individual who would have done something for St. Kitts and Nevis.
No, I'm saying who's from St. Kitts and Nevis. I didn't say what they did. I said the greatest person from the Federation.
I don't agree with that, but that's your choice and I respect it.
Yeah. To me, the greatest prime minister from St. Kitts, there's a person, prime minister, not premier, is Dr. Simmons.
I hear you.
He's greater than the guy from Labour. He's greater than Harris, because he guided St. Kitts to independence. And he was the one who created Port Santy, but Douglas got all the credit for Port Santy. Dr. Kennedy Simmons.
Okay.
He could have stayed in Canada and make a fortune, but he sacrificed his career and came home. And in my opinion, he's the greatest prime minister St. Kitts ever had.
Have you read his book?
Huh?
Have you read Dr. Simmons' book, The Making of a National Hero?
I'm gonna look it up on the encyclopedia on YouTube. I will try to see if I can find it.
Okay.
But I think along the way, Dr. Simmons is some kind of family to me, Dumpling and Jam Down. I'm not sure. He's some kind of family to us because he was very good to my mother when my mother was living. My mother's name was Jenny Manners.
Oh, I see.
That's Dumpling and Jam Down mother.
Okay.
Okay, and thank you, Mr. Blake, for taking my call.
You're welcome, man. Appreciate it. All right. Let's take another caller in the interim. Hello.
Good morning, Mr. Blake.
Morning, sir.
Yes. With regards election paraphernalia, actually, I think it's a good idea to have it because we want to create a sort of mood in the country that it's election time and it's an important time. So you advertise it just like you would any other event, like a music festival or...
Yeah, but you don't think it's done to excess?
But the emphasis should be on voting. So it would have been nice if there were some stipulations as to how these posters and so on would look. So that, for instance, the big part, the larger versions of the wording should be vote, okay, and then the smaller portions should be the candidates, right? It would have been nice if they could have come to some agreement on that, so that it gives the impression that, you know, something big is happening, and it encourages people to go out and vote, and then the candidates are there to choose from.
So the act of voting in and of itself is superior to the individual or party for whom one votes.
Exactly.
I see.
Okay, you know, so you're encouraging people to vote. Plus, I think it's absolutely unnecessary to have posters on of all the candidates on every lamppost.
Right. So this is what I'm asking you. If
alternate them or something like that. Okay. And I really feel that I think it's the Development and Planning Board right now have the jurisdiction over where billboards are erected. I think that should be employed during election time as well, so that there are particular spaces where you can elect particular size billboards. Okay, leaving of course room for everybody to do the same. Okay, and I noticed, for instance, that 4 large PLP billboards was put up on the Central Bank roundabout. I don't know if you saw them, but they have since been taken down. I don't know if that was because the Central Bank, which is supposed to be a kind of neutral territory, so to speak, if that was should supposedly be immune from all the partisan political stuff.
So they were on Central Bank territory?
Well, they weren't on the, no, not on the territory itself, but the roundabout.
Oh, okay.
So you know, in the environs, so to speak.
Right.
All right. And I don't know why they came down, but it was they were very conspicuous at all 4 entrances to the roundabout. Okay, and they were taken down. I don't know if they plan to put back up something, or if it was a strategic thing where they'd mount them there first and then take them down and put them somewhere, some other roundabout or whatever. Okay, but I really feel there should be some kind of control over this, and the emphasis should be on turning out the votes, the voters, bringing the people out to vote, regardless of who they're going to vote for, and the candidate, because everybody knows who the candidates are. I mean, you've got to be living in space if you don't know them by now. Okay, and a billboard can.
30 seconds.
Not necessary, really, for that. You know?
Okay.
So that's what I think. That it should be geared towards getting out the vote. Period.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right then.
Okay, let's take another caller. Although I think one detail I'd like to see included in this arrangement, in the protocol with respect to erecting signboards, one signboard per party or per candidate per lamppost. I've seen some lampposts where there's no space for any other billboard because they take up all four sides, as it were. Let's take another caller. Hello?
Yeah, Mr. Blake.
Yes.
I agree with you. One board per lamppost. But correction to the first caller. He said every lamppost shouldn't have on a billboard. Well, I want him to know that there were lampposts in Canefield and they don't have on a billboard. So when you can use the word every, be careful. It means all the lampposts them.
My boy is coming, eh? Yeah.
You hear me?
Yes.
And I don't think the building board could tell people where to put the advertisement. But they must use their discretion and leave room for others to advertise on the board. Because the building board gonna come and tell you where to put your advertisement. What happened to the house over Figure behind the beach?
But Culture,
Yeah.
you know there are lots of people who have no conscience. You say,
That's right.
they should use their discretion. Some people have no discretion.
That's what I say.
And that's the problem. They have to be regulated.
So therefore, because I know a lot of people do not have none, it never exists around them. So everybody should use the discussion and leave room for other people. That's the reason why when I call on talk shows, I just say, let me get out the way so somebody else can get a do. Because I know other people want to get in and I don't want to hog the show. And when you're done, no more minutes there for somebody else. And I could have come off and leave at least 3 minutes. That two person could have get a call. Thank you, Brother Blake.
Very well. Okay.
All right.
Let's see. We have other persons who want to join us. Well, we welcome this one.
Yes, Mr. Blake, good morning.
To you.
Good morning, sir.
To you as well.
Yeah, Mr. Blake, I think these funny on top of the lamppost.
Excuse me, I'm sorry, just a minute. I can't hear you too well. I'm not sure if you're the problem or in here. But carry on.
These things about have on the lamppost with people voting, right? The candidates them.
Yeah.
I think they should take them down. Because the reason why I said that, after election, they're still on the lamppost. They don't go and take them down. And I think it's time enough to stop using lampposts as a stepping stool.
Okay.
And I want to thank you very much for going and knowing that Dr. So Kennedy Alphonse Simmons get his national heroes under Dr. Timothy Harris.
Yes, no problem.
And I have 3 ministers in mind, which I just said. I'm just very disappointed. Number one is Sir Kennedy Alphonse Simmons. I'm very disappointed with him. The Honorable Sam Condor and the Honorable Dwyer Askafan. Those 3 gentlemen was in government for the enough years. And they are out now, and I think they should just take off the boots and tie it up and leave it to the young people. They try and think. It doesn't make sense. You get a knighthood from the present Prime Minister and behaving in this sort of manner. What are you showing the youngsters then? So some kind of was a deputy Prime Minister. Then he ended up to be an ambassador. And now he's on the way just speaking all sort of ill will. So Afghanistan is likewise. And I think I had respect for them, but my respect for them gone on the drain. I'm not showing the youngsters them how to go about it. But instead of that, they are using the same gentleman who is Prime Minister and who was in government with them. And not sounding good. You have a good day.
Thank you. We have one more call before we... Okay, good. Well, all right then. So we're going to pause the calls for the time being because my guest is here. And we're going to give him an opportunity to talk to us. Of course, he is registered as a candidate for Central Bastille. And we're going to ask him, of course, what propelled him to be so involved and what does he think his chances really are. So, welcome to Kalonji, a very well-known, popular face and voice on the airwaves and on the street here in St. Kitts. And so, we're glad to have you, Kalonji. The folks have already been advised that from my preliminary investigation, 31 persons were registered as candidates for the elections coming up. 25 on St. Kitts and 6 on Nevis. So, you of course are one of them. You're the only person, as far as we know, who is not associated with any of the 3 major parties. So we want you to tell us now, what is it that led you to this point, and what do you hope to achieve? Carry on.
Yes, greetings, Brother Blake. I'd just like to greet and hail up all listeners to Frank and Candid here on ZIZ Radio. Those in the Federation, we have St. Kitts and Nevis, Liamiga and Oli, and our brothers and sisters in the diaspora. Now, Brother Blake, you posed the question what basically made me to get involved in the process. Now, I see it as an educational process and a process that basically dealing with the decolonization of our people, because the struggle that we are waging is an African liberation struggle and is an anti-colonial struggle, because the problem that we are facing is a colonial system that we inherited from 1952 when we had adult suffrage, right, when our people started to vote here in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. So I'm saying to you, the problem is colonialism, is a colonial system, and the only how we could achieve anything is by changing the colonial system to our system that will benefit the masses of our people.
Yeah, okay. So some would argue that if you think that what was introduced in 1952 is in fact anti-people, anti-black, anti-humans, and it is essentially colonial, it is the very same system that obtains today, and yet you're involved in it. So
yes,
it's not a
contradiction. No, it's not a contradiction. There's contradiction in everything. So remember that. But what I'm saying to you is that we engage in the process in order to change the system, because the system is oppressive, is exploitive, and discriminatory. Right? So what we are saying basically, we are telling our people, you see all this fussing and fighting and the divide, because the system basically is a divide and rule system. Okay, when we were kidnapped and brought here, all of us came in the same condition. When we went under the pandemic, the coronavirus that we had, when we had that, all of us was locked down. There was no difference between us, and we was not responsible for the lockdown for the coronavirus. Okay, so what I'm saying to you is that our people have to come up with a program that deals with a common ground, what is in our people's interests, because the world is changing so rapidly. Capitalism, the system of capitalism is in a serious crisis, and the white supremacists who control that system is doing its very best to hold on to it, but the power is shifting from Washington to Beijing, and those in Washington trying their very best to stop the process, but it cannot be stopped.
Now we're coming back to the
conclusion.
We're coming back to the elections, but do you think that what Beijing proposes and offers is better, superior, more humanistic than that which currently obtains, led by Washington, according to you?
But Washington is the same people that have been exploiting us, and the same people that exploited China. The same forces that exploit us and oppress us is the same forces that invaded China and tried to stop the revolution in 1949, I think, when Mao was...
Yeah, but answer the question directly. Do you think that that which China is presenting is more amenable, more digestible?
I don't look at what China. I say what we got to deal with. We got to deal with our own situation.
Oh, it seemed to me that you were in support of the fact that capitalism is waning and something else is about to take its place.
No, but capitalism is waning. But what I'm saying to you is that as a Pan-Africanist and an African nationalist, we have to look at what is in our people's interests. And I'm saying at this particular time, where these tectonic shifts is taking place, right? Is that we as a people now, who was enslaved for 400 years, we got to look at our people's situation to come up with a program, not only here in the Federation, but globally wherever we are, to deal with our people's interests.
So your entry into politics is tied into this whole philosophy?
Yeah, it must be tied in, because our struggle is one and the same struggle.
So what do you expect going forward, with respect to next Friday?
What we expect, right? We know basically what the outcome going to be. Whoever win, what we are saying, whoever win the government, we need to come up with a frame. I'm calling for a constitutional convention, because the constitution needs to be changed.
Absolutely.
Okay? it doesn't work in our people's interest. So I'm saying to you, we need to come up with some guidelines, some principles, something that we put down in writing that we adhere to, and say that is what we believe, regardless of who the government is. Right? Yeah, you're talking about constitutional change. We're talking about Public Integrity Life Act. All these things we've been talking about for so many years. Boundaries, the proper boundaries and all these things. Instead of going to the Privy Council now, we need to
campaign financing and all
we say. We have to have a document that all the parties, all the major people interest in the country adhere to these things. If you take the Charlestown Accord, you're gonna tell me you're gonna sign a Charlestown Accord and then say, well, oh, the Constitution is basically the guiding light for our people. Nothing wrong with that. But what I'm saying, if me and you have an agreement, Mr. Blake, I think it's in my interest to honor it. And we are not doing that because we are colonized. And we need to be re-educated too. It's a whole process.
So you, by the way, you're officially now a candidate for Central Bastille.
Exactly.
Are you in this capacity as an individual or part of a wider
The
group?
United Lion Party.
Right, so
I'm a member of the United Lion Party, and what we are doing now, we are setting something in motion to build the party. So we are starting with one seat now. So next time, the next go around, we contesting all the seats.
So how are you campaigning? How are you? What is your strategy to get to convince people that they should put their X next to your name on the ballot?
Well, this is one of the processes here and areas.
Okay, so
right?
you're depending only on the...
No. Everything. We're doing everything. Campaigning, house to house, basically.
Okay. I haven't seen anybody in my area.
Well, that's the truth. But what I'm saying to you is that we're using whatever means necessary to get to our people.
Okay, tell the folks now. I'm giving you, you have some time. Tell the folks now what are you... Why should they vote for the United Lion Party? Why should they put the X next to the name? By the way, your name on the ballot is going to be John Jeffers.
Exactly.
The people need to know that. John Jeffers refers to Rascalonji.
Yeah.
Why should they do that and not in Central Bastille, for example, not for Nubian Griot, not for Marshall Henderson, or not for John L. Powell? Why for John D. Jeffers?
Because it's... Continue.
Yeah, if you were to be elected, right? And I would love that, tell you the truth, honestly. Why would there's only one other candidate whom I prefer to have in your place as opposed to you. But if not that candidate, then you. But the thing is, why you? What are you offering? Bearing in mind, and by the way, if I may just share quickly, I think you know that the history of electoral politics in St. Kitts is clear. It tells us with no uncertainty that independent candidates or candidates who are not associated with any of the major parties have not done well. That is the history. From people like Cardinal Christmas down to Corelby Blake to Dr. Sutton, Johnny Williams. Some people regard them as on the periphery. Some say their heads are not too meant to sound and so on. But the fact of the matter is that individual candidates, they have never achieved the 12.5% of the voting quantum, which means that they lose their deposit. And that is the fact of the matter. I have the statistics right here.
I have mine.
So the question is, do you really expect legitimately to do better than those who have gone before you?
But I can't say that. I don't know.
No, the question is, of course I'm not asking you whether you will. The question is what do you think?
No, but we hear what I'm saying.
And I know you're a thinker.
Yeah, it's a process that we are engaging in terms of educating our people. Because what I'm saying to you, what I'm offering, our struggle, what we participate in is the African liberation struggle. To liberate our people from colonialism and neo-colonialism. We don't come in the traditional way where you hear people talking about, well, basically, well, you know, what I'm going to do for you and what I'm going to... The traditional parties, take something like reparations. They have never talking about reparations. You heard any of the candidates talk about reparations?
Not one.
Okay. Now, our people will say, well, look, if I vote for you, what I'm going to get in return? That's basically the question.
Yeah.
Now, if you take something like reparation and we really struggle for it, we could get it. Each one of us could be a millionaire plus. But you know, I never heard the question of reparation raised in any of the campaigns, especially in recent times.
No, the past or present.
Okay, exactly. So what I'm saying to you, we are offering something to our people to show them that in this dispensation, where Babylon system is in such a crisis, that we are proposing to them to show them that this is the way to go, and this is the way that we could achieve our liberation, in the sense that it's an educational process. We have to decolonize our people's mind.
So you're saying, in fact, because forgive me, I'm a teacher. I'm a teacher by nature. I love to make things abundantly clear. You're saying that folks should, one of the reasons folks should vote for the United Amiga Party and put their ex by John Jeffers in Central Bastia is that if elected, he will be a strong advocate for
the
reparations.
For reparations and the re-education of our people.
Okay, but reparations is one of the prongs in the attack that you plan to launch.
And we want to become self-sufficient in agriculture.
Okay, those are okay.
You understand? Because we got to feed ourselves. Not only that, we want to develop what we call bush medicine. Because
are you going to have a manifesto?
The manifesto is right here.
Okay.
The 7 principles of Kwanzaa.
Right.
Right? So you want me to outline?
Yeah, I mean, you're talking to a potential set of voters right now,
Okay.
so they need to know what's going on. We're going to open the lines in 5 minutes, and I'm sure they're going to have questions for you.
The 7 principles of Kwanzaa, right? The Nguzo Saba. Umoja, it means unity. To strive for and maintain unity in the family, the community, nation, and race. Umoja means staying together. Kujichagulia, self-determination. To define ourselves, name ourselves, create for ourselves, and speak for ourselves, instead of being defined, named, created for, and spoken for by others. Kujichagulia is saying who we are and who we will be, and not letting others say for us. Ujima, collective work and responsibility. To build and maintain our community together, and to make our sisters and brothers' problems our problems, and to solve our problems together. Ujima means working together and helping each other. Ujama, cooperative economics, that's very important. What we want to do, especially in Central Bastia, if we win the seat, we want to develop cooperatives. You see, because more times you hear people say, well, the government will give you a loan, right? Say from Development Bank, and an individual could go and develop a business. Nothing wrong with that. But once you do it on a collective basis, from a cooperative standpoint, all of us have an interest and a stake in the business.
You think Gittish are ready for that quantum leap?
But that's what I'm saying.
It needs a start.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we come with ideas, because, for instance, where the correct ideas come from? It comes from the class struggle, the struggle for production. You understand? That's where ideas come from. It's not something just drop in your mind. It's how you socialize in society. You see what I'm saying? So what I'm trying to show you, we're bringing new ideas, new ways of dealing with certain things, because the way how we deal with things in the past is a colonial concept. It doesn't deal with the collectivity of our people.
All right, what we're going to do now, we're going to open the line.
But let me get to your Jamo.
Yeah.
Cooperative economics. To build and maintain our own stores, shops, and other businesses, and to profit from them together. Ujama means buying from each other. You know, we see now a lot of, you could open up the phones, we see a lot of other ethnic groups coming in here and dominating our economy.
Definitely.
So what I'm saying to you,
our detriment.
Yeah, this is things we have to deal with. How you can say you're an independent country and somebody else dominating your economy? None of the major political parties is talking about these things.
All right. So the lines are open. Call us and talk to Kalonji, and please, it's not an argument. Ask your question directly. We give him a chance to answer. Thank you. Let's take the first call.
Brother Kalonji.
Greetings.
Hello.
Yes.
Yeah, Mr. Blake asked your question, right? If you believe that you're going into an independent candidate going into election, if you're going to do better than others who went in before, independently.
But we hope to.
No, wait, let them finish, Kalonji. Yeah, let them finish. You can take notes if you wish.
No, but you're not. But Kalonji, do you feel like you could convince people, anybody, in interview or in your campaign, whenever they go to the poll to vote for you independently?
Okay, that's your
question of the year.
Okay, thank
because
you.
Along with going into some days, you got to be confident that you could get 100 votes or 50 votes or something vote. You understand? Do you believe you can get anybody enough to go out there and get any vote independently on your own?
Okay.
All right then.
Thank you. Let's take another caller. Okay.
But we are confident.
Carry on until
we are confident in what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
So no matter how you turn it and twist it, we are confident because what I'm saying is a process. And we see this as an educational process to educate our people around different ideas and what they're accustomed to.
By the way, what's your emblem on the back?
They didn't give us one as yet because I went to the office today and they're going in sequence.
But what's your preference?
Well,
if you had a choice, what would it be?
We had the lion, but they said they don't have those.
Okay.
You understand? No, the lady was telling me that the next one is the knife. I tell her, no, I don't want a knife. I want a tree or something. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
So we gotta go by their rules.
Something that more relates to nature.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're not yet certain?
No, they haven't. She tell me I must come back.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah, and before you go, Mr. Blake, we want to deal in with the cannabis industry.
Brother Blake, yeah.
Yeah. The cannabis industry.
Right.
Within the cannabis industry, we could create over 300 different industries from cannabis alone. You understand what I'm saying? Take it something like energy, like ethanol.
Yes.
Which we need. You could use it in cars, we could use it for different things. We could develop that instead of trying to get oil from abroad. These are things that could be done here. Medical marijuana. You understand what I'm saying? All these different things.
So that's another prong. That's another one of the major issues that your party plans to deal with. The question of marijuana.
Exactly.
Remember, the process was started some time ago, quote unquote, but then that seemed to have stalled.
Yeah, because the Attorney General said because of the virus.
Yeah, well, I can't think of one thing that has not been blamed on the coronavirus.
Yeah.
Everything corona has come in to be conveniently to be a convenient scapegoat. A lot of things have not been done because of corona. Okay. I'm not so sure if that is free and honest. So people should vote for the United Limega Party on the 5th of August. Put the extra name of John Jeffers because it is this party, this group of individuals is presenting a different approach to development.
It's an approach for liberation.
A different approach to growth, a different approach
economic
to thinking,
development.
A different approach to how we should behave and treat each other.
Exactly.
And you recognize, you accept that it is going to be a very long and difficult process, but it must begin somewhere.
Exactly.
Because the journey of a million miles begins with one step. And so you are prepared to take that first step.
Exactly.
And you're confident that your message will resonate with people. Now, a lot of the thinking seems to go this way. Hey, boy, I would like to vote for Kalanjino, but is he alone? So even if he wins, he can't make no difference in the House. If he goes into the House, if he's elected as the representative for Central Bastille, he alone against 7 others or 10 others, 18 St. Kitts, 3 Nevis, he alone against 10 others. So even when he comes with these ideas, he will be shut down and shut up. The speaker is not going to give him much play. What do you say to that? Well, because the person might be thinking, I would like to vote for Kalanji, but it will be a wasted vote because he's not, the way the system is set up, he's not going to be able to have much leeway, he's not going to be given much room to maneuver, and he's going to be disregarded in the House, even though he would have been an elected representative. How do you counter that kind of thinking?
But those are legitimate questions. But what I'm saying to you is that what I begin to realize, Brother Blake, is that a lot of people is getting turned off from the
current political.
Yeah. So what we are saying is that we are the alternative, and we understand the process.
And you think you definitely should be given that opportunity.
Exactly.
Let's see what this caller agrees with you. Hello, caller.
Yeah, good morning.
Yes, sir.
Candidate John D. Jeffers, a.k.a. Kalunji. Now, for years, you have been talking about reparation. Do you think if you win your seat, you will be able to go up and get reparation from those people who have been accused of not giving us reparation? That's the question I have to ask you, Kalonji. I'll listen up here.
But we have another caller? Not yet? Okay, carry on then.
What I'll do is introduce a bill into Parliament so that we could get our reparation. I think that is the first step. And none of the parties is talking about that. We have to pass a law in our Parliament. So no matter who the government is, they have an obligation to pursue reparation.
Okay, but you know that our laws are not binding on any other territory besides Singleton.
No, but we could pass laws.
Yeah.
You know, that is in our interest. Not only that, when we talk about reparation, you see, the International Court of Justice, which we are signatory to, we could take the people who owe us reparations to court. And not only that, there's a particular case.
Yeah, who controls the ICJ? If you say we're going to take them to court, who do you think the people sitting, the ones who make the decisions at the International Court of Justice, and whose side do you think they will lean, so to speak?
The fact remains, that is the rules that necessarily must play by.
Right, and that's the route you have to take.
Exactly.
Okay, very well.
You know, because what I'm trying to show you, they set their rules, Babylon set their rules, and they don't abide by the rules. For instance, in the WTO, Antigua took the United States to court.
Yeah.
And up to now, they don't even have the respect to honor.
Yeah, but we don't even have to label that because the United Nations passes resolutions all the time, and these big boys just disregard them as though they don't exist, and they're the ones who set up the United Nations, after all. So, you know, that's a given. Just say when you're big, you're large.
Yeah, so what we are saying now, in order to counteract that, Brother Blake, our people have to come together. There's 300, 400 million of us in the Western world. We have to come as a nation.
We're closer to 500 million, actually.
Okay then, in the Western world?
Yes.
Okay then.
In the Western world.
Okay then. So what I'm really talking about Africa. So
well, I was including Africa.
Oh no, okay. No, in Africa is 1.3 billion alone.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying to you, we're looking at the Western world. I call it the Republic of New Africa. All of us in the Western world. So we have to start to see ourselves as a nation. Because all of us suffer the same consequences of our enslavement.
But you know, you and I have discussed this ad infinitum, and you know, one of my concerns is that we have to start at the very basic ground level. I mean, that's why it's my godson right here, and even at that young age, what they're seeing here is that we don't like each other as black people.
Exactly.
So that has to change.
That's why we engage in the political process
at the minor level, at the micro level, before we get it at the macro level. We have to begin to work on ourselves. I've been saying that for years.
Yeah, but okay, for instance, how we gonna work on ourselves when the people who we look up to is the one who contributing to it? So that's why we are saying, that's why we are engaged in the political process, to show them that there's a different way. Because what we are engaging in it is colonialism. We need to decolonize our people mind and come up with a system that's based on African principles.
Okay.
That's why we have our manifesto.
No callers yet? Alright. Currently, we have a few more minutes. I'm going to let you conclude. Tell us again what your major issues that you consider to be critical at this time, and you know, try to convince the skeptics out there, because there's some persons who of course are not prepared to vote for either PLP, PAM or Labour. They have told themselves all three are bad and wicked and no good. They would like an alternative. Speak to those people, convince them that you are the alternative. You have another.
The United Amigan Party.
Yes.
Let me deal with it this way. Universal suffrage. Despite the various challenges, the new Conservative Secretary of State, James Griffith, informed Governor Blackburn that he had approved in principle certain constitutional changes that were to be put in place before the next general election. We're talking about adult suffrage in 1952. Right? Universal suffrage was to be introduced subject to a person being able to sign his or her own name. The property qualification for candidates was to be abolished, but a deposit of $96 was to be retained. The proposal also attempted to widen representation in the legislature with the division of the presidency into electoral districts. The Secretary of State was also prepared to concede an elected majority in the Legislative Council, but not in the executive. A committee system was to be introduced with the chair of the 3 committees to be held by the elected members. Preempting the disappointment that was sure to surface when it became obvious that the ministerial system was not part of the new constitution, the Secretary of State explained that the committee system would create conditions which may well lead to the development of such a system in the presidency's concern. In particular, it will enable the chairman of the committees at the meetings of the Executive and Legislative Council to state the needs and explain the work of the department with which they are concerned and to associate themselves with the work of the administration. This is the part of the apprenticeship period. By this apprenticeship period, so what they're telling here, our politicians are indoctrinated by the Westminster system. By this apprenticeship period, the colonial office was making sure that the education of local politicians was completed along British lines and that they would look to Westminster as their model. This would ensure that Britain's influence in the colonies would continue long after the inevitable loosening of imperial ties. That is the crisis that we face today. You understand? Just let me say what Matthew Sebastian said.
Okay.
The laboring masses is the upkeep of the community and consequently the class on which our prosperity and progress depend.
No, read that part again because that's critical. And you dropped your voice reading that. Read that. That is fundamental in my view.
J. Matthew Sebastian.
Right.
The laboring masses.
The laboring masses. The
is
working
the
class.
upkeep. Exactly.
Yeah.
That is the most progressive class in society.
And how did you describe them as what?
The laboring masses is the upkeep of the community.
They are the upkeep of the community.
And consequently the class on which our prosperity and progress depends.
It is they on whom we depend for prosperity and progress and growth and development. Very important.
Therefore, in catering to this class, we are promoting our own, generally speaking, chances of development.
Right you are.
His Imperial Majesty, let us not deny our ideals and sacrifice our rights to stand as the champion of the poor, the ignorant, and the down-pressed, everywhere. Principles alone can endow our ideals with force and meaning. Let us be true to what we believe, that our belief may serve and honor us. You understand? We don't have no principles because we are colonized people. So what I'm trying to show you is that in the process that we're engaging in, we're engaged in a re-education process of our people to show them basically that we have to stand for principled things.
Okay. Now, we're kind of getting close to being out of time. How can folks get more information from you? How do they approach you? What's going to be your next public event or public...
our Facebook page.
Facebook page. Which
Kolonjia Wolowo Lagan. Our YouTube. Revelation of Struggle, Past and Present. We have a YouTube channel.
Do you have information at your store where that they can come and collect,
oh, sure.
for example, copies of your manifesto?
Exactly. We have all the documentation there.
Right, and you're located where? Just remind the folks.
In the Pelican Mall.
Pelican Mall. You want the section, one of the sections facing the Bay Road.
Exactly.
So you can't miss it.
But before we end, Mr. Brother Blake.
Yes.
We must be ever mindful that our greatest weapon is the oneness which we share as Africans. But it is not enough to be Africans. That which pulls us apart and divides us must be resisted with all our strength. That which unites us must be pursued relentlessly and inexorably. Right?
Yes.
What Granny said, plant weed for the cannabis industry. What Granny said, support your own. What Granny said, whatever is in our people's interest, you have to support it. What Granny said, we have to decolonize our people's mind. What Granny said, the United Lion Party is the only solution to all this pollution. Give thanks.
Thank you very much, and I want to wish you greater success in your campaign. Ladies and gentlemen, that's it for today. We'll see you tomorrow on another issue of Frank and Candid. Until then, be good.
4 p.m. to 8 p.m. Radio goes into over.